So we were very lucky to be granted with a wonderful weekend, weren't we, last weekend? Glorious sunshine, 28 degrees. I went to the local co-op, as you do, to get an ice cream because I didn't have any in the freezer. And I found a Fab ice cream. Do you remember them? They had strawberry at the bottom, then vanilla at the top, and then these like little chocolate, like little drizzle things on the top. I got one of those, and then after I couldn't resist going through my bank of memories when you went to the seaside. I know we've done loads of seaside stuff, so I'll leave that aside. But drumsticks, if you remember drumsticks, no. They were a cone with vanilla ice cream and chocolate coating with nuts on the top, right at the tip.
Wait. I'm immersing myself in the wonderful world of lollies because I think when you're a kid, nothing beats a lolly.
A Calippo, that's probably what you're thinking of.
No, actually it's not. When you're describing your Fab, first of all, what era is this? Can you give it a rough
well,
year?
it would have been 80s, really. Yeah, because I was born in 82, so late 80s I would have started to be introduced.
In a puppet programme called Thunderbirds,
yes.
Instead of saying Roger over and out, they would say FAB. But nobody knew what it stood for amongst the Thunderbirds.
And also, I don't know it was around that time, but surely linked into this, you have that radio station called Radio Luxembourg that was called Fab 208.
Was it?
Yeah.
So the word Fab is it's very schizophrenic.
Broadly used, yeah.
No, I'm thinking.
And then we all used to have choc ices, didn't we, in the freezer? Do you remember your mum used to go to Iceland and buy like 50 choc ices at the start of the summer holidays?
Surely you can still get.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but you must be able to.
An interesting area because I think ice creams have become overcomplicated.
Right.
You can get choc ices, but it's very hard to search out and find good old-fashioned plain choc ices that you used to get in the cinema, or you might have got at the newsagents at the end of the street or whatever, because ever since Mars created their Mars ice cream that was like a really pimped-up version of a choc ice in the 1990s, I think it's really challenging to find a traditional choc ice. The only place I've seen them, and you mentioned it a few moments ago, Hales, is Iceland, where you can still buy a pack of like a dozen choc ices for like a couple of quid, £1.50. But to actually go into a newsagent's now or somewhere and try and get a good old-fashioned run-of-the-mill choc ice, maybe you'd have milk chocolate or go for the dark chocolate one, almost impossible.
Do you remember when your mum used to bring out the big tub of Neapolitan ice cream, which was so hard as a rock? It was the one that was split into three, right? The 3-flavour block, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry.
Neapolitan or Neapolitan?
Oh, Neapolitan, probably.
Oh, right. Okay.
Sorry.
Get
the grammar police. But I remember when you used to get it out the freezer, but you used to have to defrost it for about 3 weeks before you could ever eat it. Do you remember? Just like,
have you ever had a 2-ball screwball?
A
2-ball screwball. I'm asking Hayley chiefly because
talking about ice creams here, or
ice creams, a 2-ball screwball.
No.
So 2-ball screwball was available from ice cream vans, and it came in this like triangular, slightly rounded shaped plastic carton. So shaped like a cone, like a typical ice cream cone, but it had a flat top. And the cone contained ice cream in it, but at the very bottom of the cone, where it narrows at the bottom, you'd have 2 balls of bubble gum. Hence why it was called a 2-ball screwball. It's true, it's a thing.
I'm looking at you like that because you have triggered a memory in me that I thought was dormant. and I'm glad that I've had it back because I was listening intently to your every word because I can do that and at the same time explore my own thoughts. And somehow, at some point, you uttered the magic word flake, because there used to be a television advert for Cadbury's Flake in which an extremely attractive sort of Brigitte Bardot-like belipped girl would eat a Cadbury's Flake in the most suggestive way you could possibly imagine for primetime ITV. And it completely absorbed me. And I would sit watching commercial breaks, hoping that the Cadbury's Flake advert was going to come on. I think they had more than one of them, but the premise was basically the same.
Yeah.
Have a Cadbury's Flake, you will get a girl, she will look like that, and she's got tons of imagination.
No, the one
only the crumbliest,
flakiest
chocolate. One. That's what I remember.
In the world.
Yeah.
But the other one I remember.
Only the crumbliest flake. I can't do the notes, but yeah.
There's a saxophone wailing in the background as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The one I remember featured, I'm sure I've got this right, a bunny rabbit. I thought it was a sexy bunny rabbit who had a flake.
Do you know, the only time I've ever been turned on by a cartoon was Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, understood.
She was very sexy, wasn't she?
Well, yeah.
No, she was.
No, she was, but I think she had a strong contender in the form of Penelope Pitstop.
Now, you say that. I know I've told you this before, but I'll quickly tell you again. I woke up one Sunday morning, 7:30 in the morning, because there was a bit of a racket going on outside our house, and it's a quiet road. And so I put my dressing gown on and I went down, and there was the entire wacky races, all of them, with 4 motorcycle cops patrolling them.
Yeah.
And they'd come over from America to be part of the Festival of Speed, which is this ridiculous thing that they do at Goodwood. And they needed somewhere on public roads where they could just do a little bit of driving, a little bit of filming of them. And so I watched as, the Anthill Mob and Peter Perfect.
Dick Dastardly.
But who do you think I was looking out for?
Penelope
Pitstop.
I'd love a night out with Jessica Rabbit on one arm and Penelope Pitstop on the other. I wonder how that evening would end.
I like 4 in a bed. No, I do.
Yeah.
Because they always have to have this big thing about the fried breakfast, don't they? We were talking about it the other day.
Love
fried
it.
breakfast.
It's my guilty pleasure.
Yes.
The TV programme.
No, the lolly that I seem to remember and disappeared quite quickly was very heavy duty, and it was shaped like a rocket. And this was because around about this time, the Apollo and the Sputniks were going off up and down, round and round. And they all had, they all came in layers in
fuel tanks.
Something like that.
Yes, I know.
But this lolly, it had a dark red Ribena type top third.
Yeah.
And then I think it had an amber or a golden middle bit. And then I think it was green at the bottom.
Zoom.
A
It
zoom!
was a Zoom.
You're good at this, Hayes.
I like a feast.
In so many ways.
In many, many ways. A feast has always given me a great deal of pleasure.
I like a Solero.
I like a Solero, and I'm feeling flush. I might have one of those gold magnums.
Oh, yes.
What was the cheapo one, which was simply some juice in a plastic tube that was then chucked into the freezer by the shop owner?
I think that was a Clippo.
No,
sure it
these
was,
are the
no?
really cheaper versions. An ice
Really
pop.
cheap.
Not a lolly,
It's an
it's
ice pop.
something like
And I'll
that.
tell you the problem with the ice pops.
Yeah.
Because there'd be, I remember paying 10 or 15 pence for one of these. It's really hard to get that bit of plastic off at the top.
Yes.
Because if you're not at home and you don't have a blade,
Yep.
you're outside the newsagent, using your teeth,
Absolutely.
you're tugging away at it.
Your first brush with packaging,
Yes.
wasn't it, really?
And not a pleasing brush.
If I was flush, and it rarely happened, I saw other boys with them. I envied them because they were clearly middle class, and we were borderline working class and proud. And they would have this huge triangular shaped piece of glazed cardboard which contained a huge block, a triangular block of orange juice lolly.
Ooh.
And you would tear off the corner of it and you could suck at the water ice, which was kind of a huge lolly, a gigantic lolly. And it was called, wait for it, a jubbly. It was called a jubbly. And if you had a jubbly, you were cock of the walk. You were the bee's knees if you had a jubbly. The newsagent could only afford to have about half a dozen of them in the freezer because they took up so much room.
Yeah.
But that was the one.
Whilst we're talking about food, and it's a subject that's rarely far from my mind or indeed my well upholstered gut here. I don't know, Hayley, if this would be around your time. When were you drinking in pubs? In the 90s?
Oh.
Late 90s?
Yeah, but
so yeah,
late 90s.
I remember them around the mid to late 90s, but I don't know if it was a South Coast thing. But do you remember the seafood man who used to turn up at the pub at about 10:15, 10:30 at night, particularly on a Friday or Saturday, and you'd be able to buy like some whelks.
Pint of prawns.
Pint of prawns.
Pint of
Oh,
prawns.
yeah.
All
And the little polystyrene, little white tubs. Yeah,
I
definitely.
used to love that. I used to get crab sticks.
With a little wooden spoon.
Yeah. Where did they go?
Hygiene, I think, health and safety. I should think. We have a mobile fish shop that comes to our farmers market once a week, owned and run by a Polish gentleman who's charming and very funny, but he spends all day wafting the flies away, as you would imagine, with a wet fish in the open air. Well, we didn't have so much a fish man, but what we did have in our pub on a Sunday lunchtime was a meat raffle.
Love a meat.
Did you have a meat raffle?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the next item is a side of lamb. And I was always thinking, I hope I don't win, because I'm not going to trust it.
A meat raffle. I like pubs that do meat raffles. I once won, and it made my year. I won a dozen sausages. I think it was 4 lamb chops and a bit of topside.
You got a mixed grill.
That was a win. That is a win. I also remember, we're talking about pubs and raffles and things, and I haven't seen it for a while. There used to be one nearby me, but it changed hands about 15 years ago. You go into the pub on a Sunday lunch, because sometimes a Sunday lunchtime pint is a beautiful thing.
Oh, God, yes.
It's a great thing. Particularly if you've got nothing else to do for the remainder of the afternoon or evening. And there is a pub, and you go in there, and you nod to your various acquaintances, and on the bar there'd be a bowl of roast potatoes, there'd be maybe some cheese with some cocktail sticks in,
absolutely,
maybe some bowls of crisps. And I used to think that was the best thing ever, particularly the roast potatoes. And they'd be like, all right, everyone's hand would go in, they'd have a couple of tatties, and then the bowl would be empty, and then someone would appear from the kitchen again, because they were doing roasts at the same time, so there's always potatoes being cooked.
Left over.
And they put the bowl back on the bar, full up with potatoes. And I used to think that was the best thing ever.
So you've mentioned the importance of the Sunday pint. Men are not given a great deal of choice when it comes to the drink that you start drinking when you start drinking in life. But Hayley, I think it must be a nightmare back then for women, young women, to choose what drink to have when you start drinking. Because I went out with Jackie Condon, close but no cigar.
Excellent name.
Is that her real name? Stop a minute.
Yeah. Oh,
really?
She's a lovely girl.
Okay.
And I took her to Cheeky Pete's in Richmond, bopping. And I said, can I get you a drink, Jackie? And she went, yeah, I have a port and lemon, which is, I think, is a port with some lemonade.
Yeah.
I didn't ask. I didn't want to appear ignorant. But that was her choice. It was sort of sweet, sticky, slightly alcoholic. What did you drink when you got started, Hayley?
So my first drink was a Snowball.
Right.
And I think just because my mum used to have them, and it's like that, like you just said, you didn't know what you're ordering, so you just order something that you've heard of. Yeah. And then I got into all the Alco Pops. Do you remember all the Hooches and the Wickeds and the Bacardi Breezers? They were like popular when in the 90s when I started drinking, which was great because they essentially just looked like squash or pop, right?
But it's a dilemma, isn't it, for the female? Back then, I don't know, maybe it still is a problem, when you don't really know what you want. Whereas men, it's just, I'll have a pint of beer.
Yeah, I always think that, actually, because normally, like, men are just go, oh, can I have a beer or a lager? Where for me, I'm like,
I remember.
Am I in a wine mood? Am I in a gin and tonic mood? Am I in a spirit mood? Like, you have to think about it a little bit more.
I fell in love with a woman when I was 15, and her name was Kate. And Kate, I was an Arundel young farmer at the time, obviously. And Kate was a student. She was about 3 or 4 years older than me. And I remember going to the Maypole Inn pub. There's a group of us. And I was quite lucky because they would, I was always quite tall for my age. So I used to kind of get into pubs and no one really batted an eyelid when I was having my pint of Timothy Taylor Landlord. Kate was the first woman I'd ever seen who was drinking pints of cider.
Beautiful.
I fell in love with that woman.
Absolutely.
She would stand with a pint in one hand, a silk-cut cigarette in the other at the bar.
Beautiful.
She had henna-coloured hair, and I thought she was the greatest human being on earth.
Beautiful.
She sounds a little scary, actually.
She was great. She was a fashion student, but she was
sometimes
also,
we like that.
Yeah, but a bit rustic in terms of, like, she knew how to milk a cow. This sounds terrible. She knew how to milk a cow. So all of the things that I consider fine attributes in a woman.
Yes.
Smoker, drinker, pint, having a puff, and she knew how to drive a tractor and milk a cow, milk a cow. Freudian slip.
I know what you mean, though. We went on a school holiday. Great fun they are. And we found a beach cafe. We were 14 years of age. And we found a beach cafe, and it was run by this single French woman. She was about 35. And I think I've ended up with a soft spot for women 35 ever since because, I felt head over heels for her. She knew how to wear a gingham skirt. She knew how to make it ruche as she walked and swish. Yeah. And she had a little apron as well. and a tea towel hanging from the apron as well. All these little touches.
Hair colour?
It was sort of dark blonde. It was a bit indeterminate, but there's plenty of it. So this is what she did, right? We would go and get a coffee in the morning, and we would feel really grown up because we were on a beach cafe, the empty, beautiful white sanded beach to one side, the Atlantic Ocean beyond it, and we've got, I don't know what her name was, Mademoiselle Dubois or something. And she would serve us a coffee, and sometimes, not always, she would just lean in and go, "And a little cognac, boys?" Oh,
Wow.
and we go, oui, s'il vous plaît, mademoiselle. And she would come out with a little shaker of cognac and put a little bit in our coffee, in each of our coffees. That was a class. She was a class act, but then some people just know how to do it, don't they? I don't. I'm not a class act. I think you're a bit of a class act, Hayley.
Oh,
And I think you
really?
can carry it off as well, Duncan.
Maybe, but there's something about French women though.
Yeah, okay.
Because one of my crushes is Kristen Scott Thomas,
Is she French?
partly French. What are you laughing at?
what
I'm
part
not laughing
of
at anything
French?
at all.
I didn't know she was French.
the
What part of her is
The
French?
parts I'm most interested in.
Okay, 4 weddings and a funeral
Yeah.
is a lie. Because no man in his right mind would pass over her who loved him
Yes.
for that
Shallow
American bint.
yank. Yeah.
Yes. And that moment when he says to her, "Do you have any idea what it's like being in love with somebody who doesn't know you exist?"
Yes, I do, Charlie.
She goes, "Yes, I do, Charlie." "Oh, who?" "You, Charlie." And as she says it, she takes a little bit of tobacco out of her
It
teeth.
does. Yeah.
'Cause
It's
she
always been
chain
you.
smokes filterless cigarettes.
Yeah.
She's absolutely ideal,
Isn't she?
isn't she?
That's the word. Can we still use that word ideal when we talk about women?
well,
She's an ideal kind of woman. Yes.
I have a theory. Having begun
sent over.
having begun studying psychology, I'm left with the remnants of some truisms, and one is that all free-fall conversation between men ends up in the same place: French women. It doesn't matter where you start. You can start with anything you like. You can start with the duress that underwent the Horn of Africa in the late 1800s. And somehow you'll be onto French women 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
And I'm sure French men do it for you, Hayley. Or do they?
I do like an accent, but normally French men are very hairy, and I'm not really into moustaches and stuff. I don't like hairy chests.
Doesn't do it for you.
No, I remember he's got a very hairy chest, and I just don't like the hair.
One of the things I
You
admire
never know
about
what's hidden in it.
French women can make poster boys out of these funny-looking guys like Charles Aznavour. And there was a French cabaret singer who was huge called Jacques Brel.
Yes.
And he looked like a bloody horse.
Yeah.
He had the face of a horse. He really did. And the women just lined up for him.
Now, I mean, we're going to talk about French crooners. What about Serge Gainsbourg?
Serge Gainsbourg.
Oh, no, but I mean, he was a proper legend.
25,000 women.
25,000 women went into hospital to have an operation because he smoked too much.
Yes.
Pictured sitting up in bed,
Yes.
puffing away on a jeton.
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
proper man.
Yes.
Gosh,
Giton.
Yeah.
your
I'd go-
heroes in life are quite, yeah,
Worrying, aren't they?
What?
yeah.
I had a go at smoking Giton. That is such a good pack, the blue pack.
Love it.
There's a tobacconist in Brighton up from the clock tower where you can still get Giton, Disque Bleu. And you just felt like you were special if you had a Giton going.
I used to smoke a lot of them in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And you could get filter ones or non-filter ones.
Oh, non-filters.
And the filter ones, I discovered when I broke open the filter, was not the kind of sponge that we expect now, but little fragments of charcoal.
Charcoal.
Oh,
For health reasons.
So when I'm in Worthing Hospital
Yes.
in about 20 years' time,
Yes.
wired up to some big puffing machine.
Yes, Mr.
You know,
Barkers,
You know why?
Yes. Sorry, I'm still with French women. Am I right in thinking, Hayley, that a message has flooded in?
Oh, yeah.
oh yes, it did on Facebook. Yes. So Spike Nesmith. That is, yeah. I hope
Mike
it's a real
Nesmith you're
name.
thinking of.
The monkey.
Nesmith.
Yes, the monkey.
Oh, is it somebody famous? Who knows? It might be one of your friends, Tommy. You've got lots of famous friends.
Well, he
says-
called himself Spike Nesmith. The guy in the Monkeys was called Mike Nesmith. So I can see what he's done there.
Okay.
And it's a good moniker. But what has he got to say for himself?
He says our shows are amazing. He says he doesn't listen to podcasts generally, but he makes an exception for us. Brilliant stuff.
Top man.
Yes, what we like to hear.
I had a run-in with an old-fashioned mini car. You remember the old Minis?
Mini Cooper?
No, it's just an old Mini.
Okay.
It's almost a vintage car now.
Yeah.
But it was my first car.
Was it?
Yeah, a Mini, a white one.
Oh, can I ask you a question?
Go on.
So my gran,
Yeah.
her first car was a Mini.
Right.
And she used to tell this story. She's not been alive now for 30 years. She used to tell this story that, and I don't know how old your one was, that's why I want to ask the question. The windows, were they slidey windows like that? Or did you have
They were winder.
hers was a slidey.
Right.
And she also said, if I remember this correctly, that the passenger seat, there was no glove compartment or anything.
No.
There was just like
A hole.
She described it a hole,
Yes.
but with almost like an unfurled coat hanger that the passenger would have to hold on to if you were going over a bump.
Really?
Yeah, like literally a small
A handlebar.
string of metal. Not big, we're not talking sort of like an inch. We're talking about a fraction of an inch that just kind of like hung down. And if it was a bit bumpy, they were expected to hold on to it. So tell me about your Mini.
Well, the reason it jumps into my mind is because being brought up near Heathrow Airport, there are a number of second-hand clothes shops that sold old airline uniforms. And I bought a few of them because they were cheap and it made you look vaguely like a pilot or a policeman. Now, of course, I was not impersonating a police officer, which was an offence then, and it's probably an even greater offence now.
Yeah.
But I was driving my white Mini, and this is back in the days when police had Panda cars, near Heathrow Airport in a place called Stanwell. And I was about to pull out and turn right, and I'd wound my window down using the windy thing, and I was looking at the traffic to my right, and I saw this car approaching, and I saw a bloke slow down.
Oh.
And I felt a moment's twinge of power, which I was abusing, of course, because I didn't mouth, "I'm not a policeman." No. I got on with it. Do you remember do either of you remember the opening bit of Goldfinger?
Oh.
No.
Remember Goldfinger? Do you remember the movie Goldfinger?
No, I do, but what specifically are you thinking?
Okay, right at the very beginning of Goldfinger, next time it's on, right at the very beginning, he blows up an oil refinery, okay?
Yeah.
And that's just to give the film a nice boom to start. But it's not an oil refinery, it's an oil dump in Stanwell.
Oh, really?
Round the back of Long Lane, where my mate Dave King used to live.
Yeah.
And it was him I'd been to see in my Mini. And so I had the oil refinery behind me. And I remember that Mrs. King had a knock on the door one day, and standing there, dressed in his Casino Royale DJ, bow tie and everything, was an absolutely superb-looking Sean Connery, who said, as only he can say, "I wonder if I should borrow your toilet."
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
She said, of course. But what she didn't know, and he didn't tell her because he couldn't tell her, was that you needed to do a number 2.
Oh.
And she said, "He's a proper man," because you could smell it for an hour.
That is such a good story.
It's a good story. And I said, you must realise, if it was just a number 1 he wanted to do, he could have done it behind any tree.
Yeah.
But he had to go and knock on somebody's door and beg a toilet and some toilet paper.
Do you know what time of the day this was?
Yeah, it was towards the evening because it was filmed at night.
It's not healthy. That's not good gut health.
No, it's not.
You should
You're
be
right.
regular in the morning. You shouldn't be rocking up on someone's front door
First thing.
and just going, "Hello, can I use your loo? Because I need to do a number 2 in the middle of the evening." That's not good gut health.
Absolutely.
So Stanwell, that must have been because they shot quite a lot of the Bond movies. I think I'm right in saying at Teddington. So it would have been not too far away from Teddington.
Teddington was Thames TV. Elstree, I think, might have been,
was it
or Shepperton even. But it was all over that way. Yes.
I like Goldfinger. It's got
Good
my favourite
film.
Bond girl in Honor Blackman.
Pussy galore.
Pussy galore.
Pussy galore. The way he
So nice of you to
the
notice.
way, yes. Yes, absolutely. In the book, that entire circus of women pilots were lesbian. And of course, as Seinfeld says, there's nothing wrong with that. But they changed that in the film
Yeah.
for, I suppose, a variety of
Yeah.
reasons.
Have you read many of the Bond books?
I've dipped into quite a few of them.
Aren't
They don't hold me.
Don't they? What I noticed about it is Bond is an absolute grade A bar steward
Yes.
in terms of the character.
Yeah.
But also, you really get Ian Fleming's love of good food and drink.
Yes.
There's one, what did I read about 3 or 4 years ago, from Russia with Love?
Yes.
And there's a whole paragraph that's about 8 lines long that describes Bond's breakfast.
Yes. What is it?
Oh, it was like he had kippers.
Kippers.
And if kippers flown down, we went to some fishmonger that they had kippers that had arrived from somewhere in Scotland, and there was the brand of marmalade specified, and how he had a toast rack, and how it was brown toast that had been cut into triangular shapes, and put in the toast rack. And none of that really comes across in any of the movies, because it might actually be, unless you're like me and get excited about that on film, it'd be a bit boring for most people to have like a 3-minute sequence of Bond having breakfast. But I was really fascinated by Ian Fleming's real love of food and drink and how it came across in the books.
He was a bit of a Jack the Lad, wasn't he?
Oh, massively, yeah.
Massive Jack the Lad. Do you care for the Bond movies, Hayley?
Not really, no. I definitely, as I hear you talking, I can feel the testosterone flying across the room.
And your eyelids drooping.
Who's tried a genuine James Bond martini?
I wouldn't be able to tell.
Oh, I don't know. I do like a French martini. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, it's 3 measures of gin, preferably Gordon's, 1 measure of vodka, Smirnoff will be fine, and 1/3 of a measure of this French liqueur, which you can't buy anymore because they don't make it. And that is called a Vesper Martini. Wow. And it's shaken, not stirred, because he believed his taste buds were so fine that if you put an aluminium spoon in it and stirred it, he could taste the aluminium. Which, of course, is absolute affectation, isn't it?
Well, it's a load of guff, because given how much Bond as a character smoked, his taste buds would have been pretty dented.
Yes. Yes, but I tried to make a Vespers. Yeah. I tried to buy this...
That was a fun evening.
French... Well, I couldn't do it. So in the end, I settled for having dirty martinis, which you make with gherkin juice.
Oh.
Or, if you can get it, olive oil brine.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, that doesn't sound... Is that where you put the olive on the rim on the side of the glass? Or is that different?
2 or 3 olives suggest, good idea. But I've got my own touch, which I think out James Bond.
Go
on. A twist of ground rock salt. Oh. See what I'm saying here?
Now, that gets me into tomato juice.
Go on.
Well, what are you laughing at?
Because that doesn't really link, does it? A martini to tomato juice. They're just...
No, it's the salt.
Yes.
Right.
It's the salt, because Tom's twist is his salt. If you're going to have a decent Bloody Mary or a Virgin Mary, you need your celery salt for your tomato juice.
Absolutely.
And your Tabasco.
Absolutely.
And your Worcester sauce. And ideally a stick of celery and a bit of black pepper. Have you ever had a Bloody Mary, Hales?
No, I much prefer a glass of wine. I don't see the appeal, I'm afraid.
It's a lovely retro drink, a Bloody Mary.
When you order a porn star martini, why do you get those little shots of Prosecco with it? Do you know the history of that?
I don't know anything about a porn star. What's it called?
Martini.
Hayley,
porn
lives
star
in Chichester.
martini. I live in Chichester.
I don't know anything about porn stars.
Do tell.
Thought you were the experts on martinis.
Well, there's so many different types. I want to know what a porn star martini is.
Well, it's a martini, but you get a little shot of Prosecco with it. And I just wondered if that came from any of the James Bond stuff. Maybe it's just a South London thing. Who knows?
No, I was always tickled by, and I have tasted the world-famous slow, comfortable screw up against the wall, which is terrible. But
what was the cocktail like?
Well said. Now, so what is it again? Slow gin, Southern Comfort.
Yeah.
Orange juice and vodka, which is a screwdriver, and Harvey Wallbanger. And somewhere I think Galliano makes its way in, but I don't know whether that fits in with the joke about a slow, comfortable screw up against the wall. Cocktails can risk spoiling 2 perfectly good otherwise spirits, can't they, if you mix them? I had a Guinness and champagne once mixed together, and it was a disgrace.
Yeah.
Because champagne's wonderful, Guinness is fantastic. Mix them together and you've got this anonymous sludge.
Oh.
Yeah, and also they become a little bit too sweet. You know, the ones you get on holiday that every bar will sell you, 2 for €10 or whatever. They're just always so full of sugar. You can't taste the alcohol.
No.
All you taste is the sugar.
Champagne and Guinness, Black Velvet.
Black Velvet, yeah.
Guinness and Port.
No, what's that called?
Ever had it?
No.
Velvet Pussy.
Okay.
It's true.
Brilliant.
I recommend it. It's not a drink for the summer. It's a winter drink. You judge the person behind the bar before you decide to ask for a velvet pussy.
You're back to
'Cause
French
you don't know
pudding
what you're
again,
going to get. Yeah.
You don't know what you might get. And you want no more than 3. Otherwise, you might forget how to get home.
Why do we do these things?
Oh, they taste magnificent.
But why do we
I love
do
a
these
cocktail.
things? You love a cocktail.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, wait, on the special occasions, if I'm just in the pub on an average night, then I just have a glass of wine. But if you're celebrating something or there's somewhere you're going that has got a special menu on, sometimes they do cocktails 2 for the price of 1 on a 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, then I'm going to have
You
one.
get hammered quite quickly. I like Negronis,
Yeah.
but I also love a woo-woo.
What's that?
Oh, it's a cocktail.
Oh, yeah, I like a woo-woo. I have those as well. And
I don't remember what's in it. I just love them.
Tequila Sunrise, that's another one I like.
Lovely name, isn't it?
And mostly because of the way these things look, because it's like a gradient of colour as it goes up the glass, isn't it? And you just think, oh, that looks nice. It's bound to taste nice.
I go back as far as when supermarkets didn't sell booze, and then they started selling
Where
wine.
did you get it then?
What, booze? Things called off licenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I was thinking about this earlier.
What, off licenses?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because I was thinking about Victoria wine
Oh, yeah.
that used to exist in the street in Rustington, somewhere else where I grew up, Hayley. And maybe that was at the time when supermarkets, because we didn't have the supermarkets in the way we have now. There was a key market in Rustington, but I can't recall at the age of, I don't know, 7 or 8, whether or not it sold booze. But the off-license, I remember really clearly. Victoria wine, and yeah, people would go in there and get their booze take for the week and their fags.
When they first started putting booze, wine in supermarkets, they decided that to take the edge off the fact that basically it's alcohol, they would describe it, the wine, each individual wine would have its own description. Smoky overtones, bonfires. And I felt sorry for the people who had to write these things because underneath it all, it's plonk.
It is.
It's plonk.
It is.
Unless you're paying £35, £40 or more for a bottle of proper vintage wine, it's good old plonk and you drink it out of a plastic cup. It doesn't matter. It is. Really. But then somebody still has to write, that it comes from a Chilean vineyard, which is particularly favoured by the eastern sun.
Yes.
All that garbage.
With views of the coast.
Yeah, I mean...
With juniper berries growing nearby in the forest.
So I'm talking to the security guard in Waitrose. Big fella, Eastern European.
I've seen him.
You know him.
He's terrifying.
And we're talking away, and I'm asking him about how the shoplifting is going in Chichester, because there's plenty of it at the moment.
Loads. Yeah.
And this old man came up to him, right? He's obviously a security guard. He's dressed in the uniform. He's got a walkie-talkie and truncheon. And this old boy goes, "We're having fish tonight. Do you think this would be a little bit on the sharp side?" And he held this bottle of wine up for the security guard to look at. Now, there are so many things you can peel away from this little instance, right? Yeah. Including the stupid snobbery of this man, hoping that he would come across as being sophisticated. And yet here he is asking an Eastern European security guard whether this particular Cabernet Sauvignon is a little tart. We're back to French women again.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Very basic guide to life. White wine, fish, muscadet, piqué de Punet.
It annoys me when television chefs do a recipe and then they throw to the wine expert who's in a supermarket or an outlet and they say, well, Simon's making a very nice, strong French stew, so I recommend, obviously, it's got to be a red. And are there people who drink wine like that so that it complements the food and they have a mouthful of the food and then a sip of the wine and cleanse their palate with some water and then another sip of the...
Only pretentious twit.
When I was wooing my wife, who worked in Spain, and I had to fly out there once a week, for 8 weeks I flew out to Spain to get her. And when I arrived, it was about 8 o'clock at night. And she and her mates would say to me, "What do you want to drink?" And I'd always say, "A pint of the cheapest wine in the dirtiest glass they've got."
Good line.
It's a pretty good line, isn't it?
Brilliant. I remember Baby Sham and Lambrini when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black
Probably one of the first things. Yeah, Black Tower.
Blue Nun.
Yeah.
Trounce that. Liebfrau Milch.
Oh, my word.
Oh, yes.
Liebfrau Milch. Her name was Lisa Marlowe. I met her in a wine bar in Richmond. I'd never drunk wine in my life. But I said, "What do you want?" And she said, "I'd like a glass of Liebfrau Milch, but I can't finish a whole bottle. Will you join me?" So I did. And from then on, if I wanted to appear sophisticated and I wanted to impress the women, I would buy in this wine bar a bottle of Liebfraumilch and drink it. Under duress, because I didn't like it, but I thought it made me look class. Not exactly James Bond,
No.
but a dashing chap all the same.
Yeah.
Liebfraumilch. I don't think you can get it now. I think it's been banned.
No, they tried to bring back Blue Nun a few years ago.
That's not going to work.
I remember an advertising campaign for Blue Nun. And I'm sure I saw recently, and I can't remember where it was, in one of those slightly dusty, well, not a dusty newsagents, but a newsagents that also sells bits of wine and food and things in packets. I'm sure I saw a dusty bottle of Black Tower somewhere on a shelf.
The first time I cooked for Mrs. Boyd, I went ultra sophisticated and I bought her what I thought was the classiest wine there is, which was a little round bottle of Matthias Rosé.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, they still definitely do that. We have that at Christmas sometimes because my mum loves it.
Do you know what? I'm going to go and get some of that in a minute. When we're done here, I'm going to go and see if I can get some.
I think we are about done. Do we have any details to give out, or shall we simply wish the listener a good week or whatever, and may your God go with you? What should we do?
We'll give the details.
Okay.
The WhatsApp, if you want to WhatsApp us about anything we've been chewing over, particularly retro wine or any French females, 07405 341 500. Record a voice note, send us a WhatsApp, and the email address is nice and simple. It's ramblingretrononsense. That's the name of this pod. ramblingretrononsense@gmail.com.
Take care.